Welcome. Let's yoga. The class I'll be instructing and demonstrating for the next hour is designed for beginners and intermediate practitioners, where the emphasis is on Triputi, the experience of uniting awareness, breathing, and body, a meditation on the breathing body. So to begin, you can assume any comfortable seated position, student's pose, as I'm in, or anything comfortable. You're welcome to close your eyelids, and we'll sit here, becoming aware of breathing. And now you can join me connecting the palms at the center line in a prayer position. And you can join me in bowing the head and then lifting it. And also lifting the eyelids. And we'll move on from here into tabletop position through any natural transition. We'll come onto the hands and knees where the shoulders are over the wrists and the hips are over the knees. And the first pair of postures that we'll do from here we can call cat and cow. Cat pose is spinal flexion. Cow pose, spinal extension. When we form cat pose, the abdomen contracts, the lower back stretches. And in cow pose, lower back contracts, abdomen stretches. We'll continue moving through these positions, and you can go at your own pace. You're welcome to join mine, and you're welcome to link your breathing, inhaling to cow, and exhaling to cat pose. From where you are, you can come into a neutral spine. Now from here, we will circle the pelvis around the knees. At some size of a circle and at some speed of movement that feel just right to you. So we are stirring the head of the femurs within the sockets of the pelvis, lubricating the hips. And from here, reversing the direction. Pelvis stays on the same plane, no up and down movement for this, it's just circular. And now we'll pause in a neutral tabletop position. From here, we'll flow through a movement that involves cat and cow posture. So you can join me right away, or you can watch one round. We enter cat pose with an exhale, and from here, pull the hips back, entering child's pose, from which we'll land the elbows, and we'll move forward and upward by extending the elbows into cow pose. Blending this into the next round. Cat pose, child's pose. As the elbows land, we begin the inhale, moving forward and upward into cow. And we'll repeat this for 3 more rounds. completion, pausing, perceiving your body. From here, we'll extend right arm and left leg away from each other to horizontal, where the intention in this pose is stability, steady breathing, hand and knee land simultaneously. Left arm, right leg, extend, sunbird pose. Hand and knee land. From here, we'll just pass through child's pose. You can sit back onto the heels and then drag the hands back, coming upright into student's pose. And then we'll make a motion where you lean forward, lift the hips over the knees. Arms will reach forward and upward. And as the arms reach upward, there's a slight back bend in the spine. Arms will continue this through a circle. And the hips will lower as the hands lower. We'll repeat this action several times with breathing. So as you inhale, arms come forward and upward. And as you exhale, they come backward and downward and the hips lower. Inhaling and exhaling. From here, hands can reach forward again, resuming tabletop position. And now we'll do a different form of the cat pose, tiger pose. So as the spine flexes into cat pose, we'll also pull left knee forward, reaching it toward the forehead, potentially even touching it. And then the knee comes down, spine will enter cow pose, extension. And then of course, tiger pose with the right knee coming forward. And into your cow. One more repetition each side. Left knee coming forward, strong tiger pose. And down into your cow. Right knee coming forward. Excellent. From here, you can tuck your toes under your heels and we'll move into our downward dog position. So in order to transition from here, we'll start lifting the knees and pulling ribs toward thighs. And you'll extend the knees as much as possible. But the angle of the knees is how you personalize this posture. You can keep a significant bend in the knees, and potentially they straighten. Sharp bend in the hips, relaxed neck, steady breathing. From here, hips lower into plank position, where the pelvis is suspended between the knees and hips. Arms are very strong. From here, knees will land. Hips lift and pull backward while the chest lowers and pulls forward into 6 points bowing, elbows squeeze ribs. And then strong push from the arms, hips pull back into child's pose. From here, moving forward into tabletop again. And we'll repeat that flow of movement and then take it to a different step. So from your tabletop with the toes tucked under the heels, knees extend to some degree. Sharp bend at the hips, long spine, steady breathing. Lowering the hips now into your plank position. This time you're welcome to do either 6 or 8 points bowing, which are one and the same. In 6 points bowing, knees land and chest lowers some amount. In 8 points bowing, chest and chin land on the floor. In any case, elbows squeeze ribs, shoulders roll back, and now chest pulls forward, elbows extend. A full cobra, upward facing dog. Shoulders are pulling backwards, sternum is tilting upward, knees are still on the ground. Exiting breath, reaching chest forward, pulling hips backward. Again, reaching child's pose. From here, returning to tabletop. And we'll flow through the same movement, but then again, take a different step out of it. So from here, knees extend, ribs pull toward the thighs, breathing into your downward facing dog. Transitioning into your plank position. Sinking into your 6 or 8 points bowing. From here, transitioning to your upward facing dog. And this time, we'll return to downward dog from here. Very strong transition, making pelvis feel light. Feet flip along the way. And from here, we'll step into a lunge. And the emphasis will be a slow movement and a very high step. Left leg is coming forward, squeezing it into the body, moving slowly. Reaching your lunge position, breathing and feeling it. From here, returning to downward facing dog, lifting the left foot as soon as possible in this transition. Right leg takes its turn, a high slow motion step into your lunge. Spine lengthens, pelvis sinks. Aware of breathing. From here, the back leg can provide some spring as we transition into a forward fold. Feet will land beside each other. They can be hip width apart or closer. You can keep as much bend in the knees as necessary in order to gain length in the spine. Hands can come down, at least fingertips should touch. If they don't, bend the knees more and they will. Neck can relax. From here, we'll slide the hands up the shins and extend the spine to horizontal And then pause. Hands are assisting this spine extension. Knees can be bent. Breathing. And then we'll fold again. From here now, we'll slide the hands up the shins, extending the spine just as we did. This time, passing through horizontal, continuing on into a standing position. Arms reach forward and upward. And for a moment we stay vertical, sinking the shoulders, extending the elbows, arms pulled backward and closer together. Spine is long, abdomen is strong as we bend backward, upward salutation. And from here, we'll neutralize the spine and draw the hands into prayer position and breathe and become aware of sensations. Now, we'll enter upward salutation and move into a forward fold. And there's an important principle in that transition, which is that the spine needs to maintain full extension until horizontal. You can join me. Arms will reach upward, upward salutation. The movement is a hinge from the hips. Arms can reach forward or sideways or backward. Knees are allowed to bend, but for everybody, spine is lengthening, keeping its length. When you cross horizontal, it's safe to curve the spine. Resuming our forward fold, breathing. From here, we'll bend the knees significantly. Chest reaches forward and upward. For now, hands will enter prayer position, and we find ourselves in chair. Extremely strengthening for the legs and for the lower back. We'll breathe here. And then we'll fold forward again. Knees extend some amount, spine folds. From here, toes are spread, heels lift high, knees bend, and we sit on the heels if this agrees with your knees. And if not, you can skip it. Hands can stay down, or you might lift them into prayer, balancing on this small point. Toe balance, steady breathing, Triputi. From here, resuming the forward fold. Hands come down, knees extend enough to land the heels. We'll come back to standing now. For some bodies, you'll slide the hands up the shins. If it's for you, you can extend the arms. In either case, spine will extend by the time it reaches horizontal. And we continue standing for one more repetition in our upward salutation. And to neutral. 2 or 3 breaths while we're standing still. From here, arms will extend forward, shoulder width apart. Feet can widen to the same width. From here, you'll twist toward your left. Pelvis is stable, spine is flexible, midsection strong, neck twisting proportionately. And then we face forward. And now you'll step your right leg backward. Feet become perpendicular to each other. It's a short step, that right knee bends. Archer pose. Pulling your right arm back like the string of a bow. Strong push from the back leg leads you back into standing. And then from here, we'll twist in the opposite direction. Flowing back through the center and stepping backward with your left leg into your Asha pose. Strong push brings you back to center. From here, hands can come to prayer, the feet can come to each other, and we'll move into Warrior 3, which is an advanced posture and yet accessible to many bodies because it's like a spectrum. So first we'll put our hands on our hips, and again I'll mirror you. As you stand on your right leg and hinge from the hip, the key will be the spine keeps its extension. The hinge is leading your spine and left leg toward horizontal. And you don't have to reach horizontal, it's a spectrum. Go to the appropriate point in the spectrum. The knee you're standing on is allowed to bend. And then you have choices in the arms. You can keep them on the hips, you can bring them to prayer. You can also reach them backward or out to the side and maybe even forward. Maintaining your posture for 2 more breaths. And then a very strong leg brings you back to standing. Treating the other side now. Standing on your left leg. Hands are where you want them to be, hips, prayer, or reaching. As you transition by hinging in the hip. Spine is fully extended, potentially bending the knee as a modification. Choosing your arm position, it would be wise to reflect what you did on the other side. Maintaining your posture. Strong leg leads you back to standing. And we pause. From here, we'll move into Warrior 2. The transition will be very similar at first. And again, I'll mirror you. As you stand on your right leg, you will hinge and then also turn the pelvis and bend the right knee. Transitioning slowly, keeping weight loaded over the front leg, and the back foot lands lightly. Arms reach to horizontal, spine vertical. And it's very important that the knee is aligned over the foot. And then it's ideal that the hip is behind the knee. Then what we're doing is turning the pelvis toward the side without pulling the knee along with it. So knee is over the foot, pelvis is turning as much as possible without forcing anything. Arms are reaching. You can look where your chest is pointing, or you can look over your front arm. Breathing, hips are sinking, chest is lifting, shoulders sinking, head lifting. You can look where your chest is pointing or over your front arm. From here, front knee extends, and your left arm reaches down your left leg. Right palm flips to face upward, and we enter reverse triangle. So that left arm slides down left leg, and your right arm reaches away from right leg. From here, we enter forward triangle. Spine passes through vertical. Leg keeps its alignment, and you reach as far as you can forward through your right arm. And then Right hand comes down to the high shin. Left arm reaches upward. Breathing here. Our exit will be, as you bend the right knee, the right hand will come to the ground outside the foot. Left arm reaches high and forward, and the left heel lifts. And we find ourselves in our lunge position. From here, we'll land the back knee lightly, and we'll keep weight loaded over the front leg. And then your choice, you can keep the hands down, or if it feels like it's for you, you can extend the arms forward and upward in this extended low lunge where the hips and shoulders sink, chest and head float. Steady breathing. Our exit from here is arms pulled backward and downward. Back knee lifts and we step into our forward fold. Spine lengthens and folds. In the way that we learned how, we'll come into standing. Hands can slide or arms can reach, but spine definitely extends and reaches a full extension by the time it's at horizontal. And we continue on to standing, where you have the choice to reach upward, keep it vertical, or upward salutation. And we meet each other, neutral spine, hands connected in prayer. From here, we'll move into Warrior Two, now standing on your left leg. Transitioning in the same way, hinging from the hip, turning in the pelvis, bending in the left knee, reaching and landing lightly in your Warrior Two, with your knee over foot alignment, hip behind the knee. If either of that's not happening, the solution is to turn the pelvis toward the front leg and establish it. Possibly also you can move the foot over. Once you have your alignment, you can work on turning the pelvis, sinking the pelvis. Arms are extending. Anchored to the breath in these challenging postures. From here now, we'll extend the left leg and reach right arm down right leg, left arm away from left leg. Spine becomes parallel with the left leg. Breathing. From here, legs are very strong. We'll transition to forward triangle. Emphasis on keeping your alignment in that left leg as you reach forward. And then your left hand will drop to the high shin, right arm reaches upward, shoulders stack. From here, we transition into our forward facing lunge by bending the left knee, setting the left hand, right arm reaches high and forward, and your back heel lifts. From here, back knee comes down to the ground, and again, whichever you did on the other side, you'll do now. If you kept the hands down, keep them here. And if arms reach, you reach into our extended low lunge for about 3 or 4 breaths. And our exit, arms pulling backward and down to the ground. From here, back knee lifts, we step into our forward fold. Sliding the hands up the shins, extending the spine into our standing position, but this time arms will stay low and we'll just circle the shoulders a few times, feeling loose here. And then we'll pause in what's called Tadasana, another version of mountain pose, also known as the anatomical position. A great place to calibrate balance. From here we'll move into tree. And you can stand on your right leg. Again, I'll mirror you. The left leg slides up the right, anywhere along that leg, except heel against the knee. But the foot can be below or above the knee. And you can draw the foot high into the thigh. And there's a subtle tension of the foot against the thigh and the thigh against the foot. And then there's opposite activity, rooting into the ground and reaching into the sky. Arms, your choice here. You can go prayer position in the hands, or you could grow branches, however long you want them. Breathing steadily here. From your tree now, you can slide the foot back down and bring your hands into prayer position. And we'll sink into a chair just for a moment. Arms reach forward, knees bend, but the chest stays lifted. And then we stand. Hands come back into prayer position. And now we'll enter tree while standing on your left leg, so right foot slides up, and you can draw the foot high into the thigh, and you can place the hands as you wish, prayer position or reaching. Breathing. To the ground. Once again, arms will reach forward, toes are nice and spread, knees bend, the chest stays lifted into our chair. Lifting once more, arms will reach upward, minor back bend, and then we'll bring arms beside the shoulders, keeping a slight upward tilt in the sternum. Now also a slight bend in the elbows, with a sense of melting in the shoulders, floating in the chest, breathing to expand the chest. From here, we move into our forward fold, arms lower, hinging from the hips. Long spine in the transition, reaching our forward fold. From here, we will hop into plank position. You can step if you prefer, And if you hop land, lightly. From here, knees will come down. And one more time for this practice, we'll enter our 6 or 8 points bowing. Extending now, upward facing dog. Chest forward, hips backward, finding child's pose. And from child's pose, hands slide back, spine comes upright to student's pose. And we'll move into postures now, much closer to the ground. You can begin by untucking your shins, one, and then the other, and extending the knees, just some amount. We want the spine upright here, and if it doesn't get upright easily, the solution is to bend the knees. So, finding staff position, what we need here is a neutral pelvis. If the pelvis is tilting backward, the spine will be rounding. If that's happening, the solution is to bend the knees, and then you'll be able to neutralize the pelvis. So modify as much as necessary. Some bodies will do this with straight knees, some bent. From here, with that spine vertical and very energized, arms reach upward, and yet shoulders sink downward, and we're breathing. From here now, spine lengthens and folds, just like when we were standing. And now we're doing it from a seated position. The hands will land where they land. Maybe shins, maybe ankles, maybe outsides of the feet. Shoulders don't get yanked forward, they stay in place. And then we can relax. From here, chest comes forward and upward, and we resume staff position. And from here, arms will pull backward and downward. And we'll set the hands right behind the hips with the fingers pointing forward. Shoulder blades squeezing toward each other. Then you'll put weight into the hands and extend the hips some amount. For some bodies, the hips will lift an inch, and for others, the hips will lift quite high, and the soles of the feet reach for the floor. Full bridge. From here, hips come back down, and then arms reach forward, and we'll lie down. So if necessary, you can scoot forward, make sure you have enough room. Our lying down is on purpose. Abdomen is very strong, but very soft landing. Setting the hands beside the hips, stepping each foot back to bend the knees. Preparing for another variation of the bridge. You can scoot the shoulder blades toward each other, make sure knees are maximally bent, and then the nature of a bridge is we lift the hips. And you can vary this. You may find you can interlace the fingers. Some bodies might grab ankles. Your choice. Exiting your posture, hips lower. Now we'll simply hug the thighs, Holding onto the shins, you can interlace the fingers, and you can rock from side to side. Pausing. Both feet will come down to the floor, and then we'll cross your right shin over your left thigh. We'll reach the hands to grab the left thigh, the reclined pigeon. Left hand goes outside the leg, right hand in between the legs, gripping left thigh. Shoulder blades are on the ground, still Triputi, breathing. Landing your left foot now, and we'll simply trade sides. Left hand is in between the legs now, right hand outside. And you've created a lever system with this posture that allows you to release in the left hip. Landing the right foot and the left. From here, our next posture will be fish pose. So you can extend your legs and you can tuck the inner half of the hands under the hips with the palms down. You can scoot shoulder blades toward each other a little bit. And then from here, by the strength of those spinal extensor muscles, as well as the strength of the arms, we lift the chest and head. And then you can look backward. The top of the head may touch the floor, but it bears no weight. From here, we tuck the chin and slowly lower. Untucking the hands now. Now in Shavasana, there's nothing to do. We just be here in a certain way, in a relaxed way. Now we'll rise from Shavasana. And you can begin this transition by moving hands and feet. You can step each foot back, and you can reach arms overhead. And from here you can roll onto one side or the other into a fetal position. Then there will be one arm here to help you come upright into a seated position. And then we'll close our class. So thank you for practicing yoga, for loving yourself, because it helps everybody. You can join me in formally closing our practice by bringing our hands into prayer position, closing the eyes, bowing our heads with gratitude for all of the masters of yoga that have passed the teachings onto us. Namaste.